Hi guys, it's Jamie here, and Asda very kindly sent me through a huge free magazine through my letterbox. So I took some pages out and made the backgrounds for these journaling cards, which have got a digital download from Magpie Printables. I'm super thrilled with these. When you see the detail that's gone into these at the end of this video, I hated this background when I was doing it, but it's actually worked out fine. Loads and loads of detail on that background. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see there's text, there's stamping, there's different colours, there's splotches and splashes, and I go into all of that in the video. So we're about to go back in time, yahaha, to see how that background was made from the couple of pages of the free magazine. Today we're going to do a masterboard and make those into tags and go for some highlight features, all from the Something Wicked Comes This Way, or This Way Comes, from Magpie Printables. I'll put their details in the description below. The first thing I'm going to do is M&S very kindly, or Asda, I'm not sure who actually, sent me their Christmas food magazine, which of course I've not looked at all, but I do have some old book pieces, and I'm going to lay that across the whole of here using some Mod Podge, but you can use any glue or gel medium that you want. I don't mind getting wrinkles on things, because what I'm going to be doing at the end of this, and it's going to go through a lot of different art processes, is when I cut it up I will be backing it onto cardboard to make tags anyway for my daughter's gothic horror themed journal. But the process that I'm doing, even though I'm using Something Wicked This Way Comes, you could do with any printable digital that you've got, or images that you've got that you like, or stamped images. So really this is more about the process. So all you do initially is cover this whole thing with your Mod Podge, and just, I'm using fairly straight ones, you can use torn ones, you can use any scraps of paper. That is all I'm doing, is going to cover all of this, and when this is all covered and dry, I'll come back for the next stage. Right, stage 2, I'm taking a new spray which is Dilutions. I don't know if it's a water resist one or not. Try spraying some water on and see what happens. No, water makes no difference to that whatsoever. This is the lime green, by the way, in case anyone's wondering. This one is a Distress Oxide, and it's fossilized amber. So we're going to spray this. This might take a little while to get going. All over my desk, and then give it a bit of a, because it is an oxide I think, a bit of a squirt. Let that dry, and then we're going to see what results we've got there. That's made a very beautiful colour. It's still slightly damp, but that's okay, because we're going to watercolour next, because it's not very horror, is it? It's not very gothic horror. So I think what we're going to do is, what are we going to do? I think we're going to pop some dark green down. Yeah, let's do the dark green. Ooh, made a turquoisey colour. Okay, that's quite nice. Not very horror-like, but quite nice. Let's get some water on that. Not too much. I think I want a big brush actually, because I want to do this relatively quickly. Just slap it on. Yellow ochre. Using the same brush, I have cleaned it a little bit, keeping it again quite thick, and we're just going to see what happens now. We're just adding more and more layers of colour. You can still see the text through it. It's getting some more colours I associate with grunge or horror or whatever, and some alcohol, pure distilled 99.9% alcohol. I hope you can see that. And flick it on here and see if it will react. And if it doesn't, well, we've got a very big grungy mess. I think it's beginning to see a reaction. You need to get this on while it's still wet. When it's still wet, you're beginning to see the reaction I want. A bit like a distress ink, but bigger. Just leave everything to dry and see what it looks like. Mixing there better than here. What goes into a background, eh? Right, it's still a bit damp because obviously I laid a lot of alcohol on here. So what we're going to do is use the airdryer and hopefully create some flow at the same time. I'm not going to make you suffer the airdryer, just so you can see that we're creating a bit of flow on the paper by lifting it, letting it slide down and drying at the same time, and then flow it back the other way. I'm going to continue to do that now without that awful noise for you, and come back when that's dry. But you can see what I'm doing, just lifting, pushing it down. You can use a hairdryer for this if you don't have this heat dryer. I've had this years, but if you don't have one, don't feel you need to go buy one. Just grab a hairdryer. As you may be aware by now, one background technique is never enough for me. So while that dries off a little bit more, what we're going to do is take the cutouts from the Something Wicked printables or downloads, and just on the back of it with a permanent black ink, just go over the edges. And the reason for doing that is if there's any white in your fussy cutting, it will be hidden by the blackness that we're adding at the back. Obviously we're going to glue it on that way, but you can see it's giving it a very, very slight black edge. We're back with the masterboard itself. What I've done is I've wrapped about 6 pieces of cling film, plastic wrap, saran wrap, depending where you are, depends what you call it. And I've left this bit kind of open, and you can see that I've deliberately got it sort of scrunchy, and then I've put a whole sheet over the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the green that we used before, get it watery, hold this upright and just pop some along the edge and try and get it to run down through that wrap. We may need to add more water, but to hold the cling film at the same time. It's quite difficult to do because you're looking to get this watery enough that it will run against that cling film. Not getting the result I'd like, but it's adding to it, so we're going to live with it. What we'll do is just scrunch that up and dab it in then. Can't get the result we want one way, we'll try another way. Like I say, this is all about just keep going till you get something you're happy with. Yeah, that's better. Amazing. The thing is, as soon as you do something like this for a masterboard rather than just some papers chopped up, what you've done is always going to be complete unique. I'm much happier now with how we're going with this. We do need it to look grungy because it's for a horror journal, but I wasn't keen on the yellow. We're going to really splash that through now. So we've done some scrunching splashing, and now we're doing some splashing splashing, and we're going to let that dry as great big splashes, I think, because I quite like that. Okay, this is now really, really dry. Still not a mad fan of it, but I think there's ways around this. There's always things you can do. What I'm going to do is where we've laid down originally all that paper, I'm going to run this watercolour crayon along some of the edges, then get the brush and have it a bit damp and try just bringing those edges to life a bit, and we're going to see if that's going to help. Now we're going to add a bit more background noise to this in the form of some script stamps, randomly placing them around. I'm going to use a few different scripts. What have I got there? Oh, I've got this. That's rather nice. So this is just like a little dash line. I think this could look quite cool. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, okay. Like this. I have here, and it won't show up that well, is the Distress Oxide in Espresso, and a blending tool and a stencil. Just putting the stencil in places. I'm very aware of the fact this is not going to be seen, but it's more background, it's more area of interest, it's more noise. You can sort of see it if you look closely. I have here is a stencil that's got supposed coffee stains, but I'm actually going to try a white ink pad and see what happens. It may or may not work. It may just be, ooh, how to break your stencil. Too dark a background. Oh no, kind of works. Problem is it's a bit regular. I'm not sure how regular I want it. I know they're being cut into tags. Just one or two more things, because I've now added these white circles. I feel like I need to add some white splashes, and then I'm going to splash over this background. The white dots have faded in quite a bit, white splashes, so we are going to do the black and see if those fade loads as well. Like a bit of drama. Here's the next stage of what we're doing. So this is dry. I'm perfectly happy with this. Just check the writing's the right way up. Yeah, it is. So turning that over, now we have some tags that I've made just out of old cardstock. I'm going to be gluing these to this. So just going to try and get as many tags as you can along here, leave a gap for cutting. We're at the finishing off stages. Now we're going to distress the edges of this because we don't want anything too shiny and new. I have a few bits and pieces here. I've got some lace, I've got some doilies, I've got some sari silk. I've also got what actually came with the kit, which would be kind of cool if we can use some of that. So I painted up the frame. It's the next day, in case you're wondering. And now I thought it was a little boring, so I've got some stamps here, and I'm just wondering about putting one of these on, like the Danger, if I get it the right way round, and just stamping it like in a corner. I think that might be interesting. It may not work, but if it doesn't work, paint back over it. Ah, the joy of paint. Alright, let's just see. Pop Danger down on there and see what happens. It's either going to show up or it isn't. Okay, it's a bit overpressed, but it's fine. Rather than use watercolour, I'm going to try using just a fine liner and maybe smudge it a bit. Just want to make it pop. Let's run through all the different ones that we've made very quickly. This one obviously has the printable here has been outlined plain on the back with a little journaling spot from the download that you could write a title and then write something else on it. This one you sort of saw being put together. So a black frame, a picture from the Something Wicked range, and then a white stamp, plain on the background, just edged with some ink to age it. This one, these are all from that printable, and they're all little tiny cards, but also I've added, for extra detail, some stamps on there, dangerous chemicals, flowers of sulphur, poison. So there's always a little surprise, a tuck spot on a journaling card. I thought that was cute. Here we've got a belly band on a journaling card, a little stamp over it. Again, this was from the download, as were these. These have been backed and are just plain on the back, but you can write on them. So lots of journaling spots there, because obviously you still have able to journal at the back as well. And then this one is just a collage using the downloads with a bit of lace over it, and a couple of, well, 3 of the downloads on the back, so you can write on this bit. You could write round it if you wanted to. So that is what we managed to make with the background and the downloads from Magpie Printables, and I will see you next time.